Hey, it's Kevin Yates of functionaltrainingcoach.com, and today I'm going to share with you 5 compensation strategies to look out for when doing shoulder rehab exercises with a resistance band. Now, these are very important to identify and to correct them ASAP because they commonly go unnoticed during shoulder rehabilitation programs, and what happens is that these compensation strategies end up leading to more shoulder problems and pain and injuries down the road. Okay, so the first compensation strategies have to do with the internal and external rotation movements with the resistance band. So during the internal rotation, what will happen a lot of times, instead of performing it here, what you'll see is the shoulder will start to elevate and the elbow will come away from the body a bit, and sometimes they'll protract. So it'll kind of look like that, okay? And that's a problem because what it does is it starts to defeat the purpose of the exercise, and it overly involves the upper trap. It starts to overly involve the pectoralis muscles, and they overuse the deltoid, okay? The other compensation strategy that you'll see is in external rotation. Instead of it being performed this way, you'll start to see the arm pull away and abduct from the body, kind of like that. And oftentimes you'll see a trunk rotation with it. So they'll kind of be turning or leaning, right, in this way, or they'll be doing like that. So you'll see that happen a lot, and that poses a lot of problems because the abduction will cause them to overuse the deltoid muscle, and then if you see that trunk rotation, that's going to overly involve the muscles of the low back. So over time, they get repetitive stress not only to the shoulder but to the low back muscles as well. Okay, so to remedy it, and a lot of you might already use these exercises this way, is usually getting like a towel and putting it either under the arm or under the elbow to stabilize the arm a little bit better. I tend to put it under the elbow. If you're going to use it, I would recommend that versus under like the armpit, because when it's high up under the arm, it tends to influence this elevation of the shoulder. Okay, so I usually would have them, if you use it, anchor that towel with the elbow. So when they're going through external rotation, they're not going to pull the elbow away from the body, and they won't pull it away when they're doing the internal rotation. Okay, the other compensation strategies have to do with the resistance band exercises for shoulder strengthening. So flexion exercise, got a long band here today. And anyway, so for the flexion exercise, which you'll tend to see again, you watch the shoulder, a lot of times you'll see that elevation and internal rotation of the shoulder. So they'll be shrugging it, all right? And again, it's overusing that trap. They can have neck problems, shoulder problems, a whole host of things that can happen. The other thing is they'll, a lot of times, excessively bending the elbow, which is overly involving the biceps. So they'll really bend that elbow and shrug, okay? And a third thing to look out for, sometimes you'll see that they'll lean back when they're trying to get that arm up, okay? And again, that back lean will, it can tend to aggravate and cause repetitive stress to the lower back. The other exercise is abduction. So when doing the abduction exercise here to here, you know, what will happen a lot of times, and I wouldn't use it with the palm facing their body, okay? Because what you'll see is a lot of times you'll see maybe the shrug and an internal rotation and protraction of the shoulder. So might look something like that. Okay, so if you do it, what I would suggest is having them perform it with the palm facing forward, and when they come up, it's like their thumbs up, like they're hitchhiking. Okay, so it's kind of going there to there. And lastly, when doing the shoulder extension, you might see, instead of it being performed just here to here with a straight arm, you might see the shrug, the protraction, the excessive elbow bend, and even kind of a forward lean. And sometimes it'll start to resemble a tricep kickback. All right. So again, it's really watching out for all of these compensation strategies, because a lot of shoulder problems don't necessarily happen because the shoulder's weak. It happens because the shoulder is overcompensating. The deltoid muscles are overcompensating. The upper trap muscles are overcompensating. And it creates muscular imbalances. And that's one of the reasons why I tend to avoid using the internal and external rotation exercises with the band, specifically the internal rotation exercise, because most people are already imbalanced and have kind of a forward rotation of the shoulder and a protraction anyways. So they're either dominant or tight or both through the anterior muscles of the shoulder and the chest, and they're weak through the scapular stabilizers and mid-back muscles. And a lot of times that's what the internal rotation just tends to influence that with people. The other thing that I tend to stay away from is because moving with your arm fixed here and here through this range really doesn't have a very good carryover effect into movements that most people do on a daily basis. So if you think about everything that you do from day to day, just general things, you know, we're always reaching, we're moving through, you know, ranges overhead, we're moving in diagonal patterns, we're pulling, we're pushing, right? We're pulling things up to our bodies. So there's different ranges that we move in, kind of, that we need to be training. And the big thing is being able to train the shoulder to be stable during all of these movements that we perform on a daily basis. Okay, so those are a couple things to keep in mind when doing shoulder rehabilitation exercises. All right, so again, looking out for those compensation patterns, and if you have identified other compensation patterns that you've seen with your clients during shoulder rehabilitation exercises, I'd love to hear about them. Or if there are other exercises that you use that have been very successful for your clients, I'd love to hear about it. Or if you agree or disagree with what I've been saying and why that is, I'd love to hear about it. So post me your feedback right here on this blog. Let me know what you think. And until next time, I'll see you then.